of analog video, video feedback is probably the simplest form of video art. And it's how a lot of people get into video art. It's actually how I started in high school, just because it's cheap, it's easy, and it's simple as hell. Basically, all you do is you connect your camera or camcorder, whatever, to your TV screen, turn it on, and then you're going to point it at the screen, and you're done. It's just going to reproduce like a ton of these really cool fractally type patterns. And that works because camera points at the TV and then it takes the feedback, or it takes the signal, and it reproduces itself over and over again because that goes back into the camera. If that makes sense. And you get some cool patterns. So a lot of people do some really cool stuff, but you're probably wondering, how can I use external video? And it's pretty simple. It all comes down to internal feedback. You can't really do that with a regular camcorder, the OG feedback method way. Instead, you need a video mixer. And it's pretty simple. I'll explain it like this. Video mixer has two outputs. One of them will be your main output, but the other one you can use as a source. You can route that into one of your 4 input sources on the mixer, and then you're done. Make sure to connect another source though to one of the other inputs, because since it's a feedback loop, it's not going to work if it doesn't have a changing frame. What I usually like to do is I'll mask out the top video to have some of the feedback peeking through, but you can experiment with a lot of different ways. You can do stuff with transitions, which is pretty cool. You do a combination of the two, and it leaves for a lot of really cool effects. That's pretty cool. But if you wanted to make things more complex, that's kind of annoying. You need to have more video gear, more mixers, and that just takes up so much more space while also being a lot more expensive and having to go on wild use cases on eBay. So I thought to myself, can you do that digitally? Short answer, you can. The video software that I use, called VideoMax, it's like live video software. It already has a few filters that allow you to do this kind of stuff. Like, they're just called feedback filters. Those are honestly pretty solid. I've already screwed around with it a little bit, so it's good for just plug and play or drag and drop type stuff if you want to do it. However, if you want to do the true like internal feedback thing that's in analog mixers, it's pretty simple. What I like to do in VideoMax, because it has a built-in layer feature, is I'll just take the main output of the layer and make that a source. You will then set the feedback layer as your bottom layer below the original source, and then just key out the top layer any way you want, and you're done. You get some cool stuff with that, but I wanted to make it a little more complex. So this is what I came up with. It's pretty visually noisy, but there's some cool results. Here's the final demo that I did. I have my DJ mixer, which I'm using as a MIDI controller, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to show myself just because it's easier to demo, but I'm going to bring myself in with the knobs, and I already have a basic feedback loop. You can change the color, hue, all that jazz, kind of what I showed earlier. So it's pretty basic, but if you wanted to add in something more complex, that's when I have the secondary layer that's underneath, and that is attached to some color controls. I learned that, so it's just showing the same feedbacks earlier, but I added some brightness, saturation, and contrast on it, just because I learned that when you kind of crush the values, it's gonna make the feedback more intense and colorful, I guess. That is it in black and white, but now let's add in some color too. I'll dial up the saturation, and now you have some really crazy stuff. By the way, I'm like moving around a ton because that's the best way to show the feedback loop. That looks weird. But I'll put in a regular video. This is what it looks like when you have constant motion. The frame's always changing, and you can get some pretty cool results.
So that's basically it. It's just some simple masking and color correction, but it gives you some really cool results. It just shows a simple concept that can be taken pretty far. This is honestly just scratching the surface. I want to try some more feedback stuff, but so far this is pretty cool. So I'll probably screw around with that a little bit more, and that's that.